They ripped my dress in front of a ballroom full of wealthy donors. My boyfriend stood right beside me and did nothing. His mother called me trash. His sister put hands on me. And the whole room thought I was powerless until someone on the charity board recognized my face. Because I didn't walk in there as a billionaire's daughter. I walked in as a nobody to see who would still treat me like a human. And what happened next didn't just expose them, it exposed him. If you love emotional, twist-filled stories like this, hit that like button and subscribe. I rolled into the Lakeshore Crown parking lot like I was showing up for a job interview I never asked for. My old silver Corolla coughed once before it settled. Not dramatic, just tired, like me. Across the lot, my mother's ivory Range Rover sat in the VIP bay like it owned the air we were breathing. Next to it, my sister Tessa's glossy black Audi was angled perfectly for attention. Of course, the resort spread out along the lake like a quiet, expensive flex. Glass, stone, warm light, a private dock. A lobby you could probably hear your self-esteem echo inside. I'd chosen this place carefully, not to start a war, but because I was done letting the truth live in a back room. I grabbed my overnight bag, small, practical. The kind of bag that says, "I'm here to sleep, not to perform." Tessa spotted me first. "There she is," she called out, that voice, the one she uses when she wants an audience even if she doesn't have one. Mom drifted over like royalty inspecting a questionable village. "Wow," she said, sunglasses perched high. "You made it." I said I would. Tessa glanced at my car like it personally insulted her. "Did you valet that thing or did they just feel bad for you?" "Be nice," I said. She laughed. "I am being nice. I didn't call it a fossil." Mom smiled with the kind of warmth you get from opening a freezer. "So you still working in warehouses?" There it was, that line they always used like a full stop on my life. "Operations," I said. She heard what she wanted. "Right, boxes, forklifts, back pain." "I don't know how you do it." I didn't answer because I didn't do it the way they thought. A valet approached. His eyes slid from their luxury keys to mine. I handed him my Corolla keys. He hesitated, not rude, just confused. Like he wasn't sure if this was a joke. "Thanks," I said, calm and polite. Mom started walking toward the lobby. "Separate checks this weekend," she said casually. "Let's not put you in a situation where you feel pressured." Tessa added, "We booked the premium suites." "I'm sure they have something cozy in the back building." I nodded. "Oh, I'm good." The lobby hit like a movie set, a massive stone fireplace, soaring beams, windows framing the lake like a postcard. Tessa spun slowly. "This is what success looks like, Maya." I kept my face neutral, because I almost said I approved every detail you're standing inside, but not yet. Mom tilted her head. "Remember when I tried to set you up with Dr. Nolan Mercer?" "Yes, you should have married him." "Mom, he's got 3 practices now. That could have been your life." I shrugged. "My life's fine." Tessa gave me that pity smirk. "The one that's basically a slap with lipstick." We reached the check-in desk. A young woman named Kayla greeted us with a professional smile. "Welcome to Lakeshore Crown. How can I help you?" Mom placed her black card on the counter like she was ending a debate. "Reservation under Elaine Hartman, 2 premium lake suites." Tessa stepped in, "and another premium suite under Tessa Hartman." Kayla typed, "Perfect, and you must be Miss Maya Hartman." "That's me," Tessa lined in, eager. "She'll be in a standard room, separate reservation." Kayla blinked. "Actually, Miss Maya Hartman is listed as the primary account holder for all 3 suites." The air changed. Mom laughed once. "A mistake," Tessa said. "Yeah, no way. She works in a warehouse." I didn't flinch. Kayla rechecked. Her polite smile tightened. "It isn't a mistake, and there's a note about special access." Mom stiffened. "What kind of special access?" Tessa laughed loud enough to turn it into a show. "For a warehouse worker? Come on." Kayla picked up the phone. "I'm going to call the general manager just to confirm." Mom turned that disappointed parent tone on me. "Maya, did you try to book this with some ridiculous promo code?" I met her eyes. "I didn't use a coupon." Tessa lowered her voice. "Did you lie?" "No." A moment later, the general manager arrived, Mr. Roth. Mid-50s, immaculate suit, the calm confidence of someone who runs a place that never sleeps. He glanced at the screen, then looked at me, and his expression shifted. Not confusion, not politeness, recognition. "Miss Hartman. We didn't expect you until this evening." Mom froze. Tessa blinked hard. "What is happening?" Mr. Roth nodded to Kayla. "Open the executive access file, level 9. Kayla's face went pale. Tessa scoffed. "Level 9 of what?" Mr. Roth ignored her. He looked at me. "Your family's reservations are in the private party wing, correct?" "Yes, and you are the approval authority for all services." "I am." Mom stepped forward. "Mr. Roth, I think you're confused. My daughter works in warehouses." He gave her a calm smile. "Mrs. Hartman, I'm not confused." I took a breath because this part mattered, not for revenge, for truth. I looked at Tessa, then at Mom. Yeah, I said softly, I work in warehouses. I let that sit. And sometimes, I smiled, I own what's inside them. Mr. Roth cleared his throat. If I may explain, Miss Hartman works in warehouse operations for Hartman Hospitality Development Group. Silence. Mom whispered, that's a coincidence. Mr. Roth gestured toward the lobby, the lake, the entire property. Lakeshore Crown is the flagship resort of that group. Kayla swallowed. Miss Hartman is listed as founder and CEO. Tessa looked like her whole brain took a sharp left turn. No, Mr. Roth continued calmly. She acquired this land 8 years ago. Mom turned slowly toward me. That was the year you disappeared after Thanksgiving. I nodded. That was the year I stopped asking permission. Mr. Roth's phone buzzed. He glanced down. Miss Hartman, your guests are arriving. Mom blinked. What guests? I answered before he could. The people who actually know me. And right then the front doors opened. A group walked in, confident, professional, calm, and my mother and sister were about to realize this weekend wasn't just a reunion. It was the moment their version of me finally ran out of air. I watched Evan's hand tighten around mine, not protective, more like please don't embarrass me, and that's when I realized something scary. This night wasn't just a test of his family, it was a test of him. I turned to Evan and said, low and steady, if they come at me, are you with me? He opened his mouth. He looked at his mother, and then he didn't answer, not a single word. And I swear, in that silence, I heard my heart start packing its bags. If you've ever wondered what someone's really made of, watch how they act when their family turns cruel. Because in part 2, they don't just insult me. They physically humiliate me in front of everyone. And Evan, he gets one last chance to choose me, or choose his comfort, so don't go anywhere, hit subscribe, because the next part is where the mask comes all the way off. The group that walked through those doors didn't arrive loud. They arrived certain. That's the difference. People with real responsibility don't need to announce it. The room adjusts to them. The first man I recognized was Evan Brooks, my CFO. Tall, calm, that steady energy that keeps panic from becoming policy. Behind him came Nia Grant, head of marketing, then Darius Cho, our director of operations. 2 regional managers followed. And our general counsel, Lena Price, holding a slim folder that meant there was a real agenda hiding inside this weekend. Evan spotted me and smiled. Maya, we made good time. Then his eyes moved to my mother and sister. These must be your family, I nodded. My mother, Elaine, my sister, Tessa. Mom shook Evan's hand like her muscles hadn't gotten the memo yet. Tessa didn't even pretend she was okay. She was still stuck on the word CEO. Nia stepped forward with that friendly, polished warmth she does so well. Mrs. Hartman, it's so nice to finally meet you. Maya talks about you both. Mom blinked. Does she? I held my face neutral, because yes, I did. Just not in the way she imagined. Mr. Roth appeared beside us like a man who knew this moment deserved structure. Miss Hartman has reserved the private party wing. 15 suites, the conference lounge, and private dining. Tessa turned sharply. 15, I answered casually. I didn't want our reunion to feel like a hallway argument. Her mouth opened, then closed. Mom looked at me like she was trying to locate the daughter she thought she knew. How long have you been doing this? I kept it simple. Long enough to stop explaining myself. Mr. Roth turned to Kayla. Please handle the Hartman family check-in. Kayla nodded quickly. Her whole energy had shifted. That's another thing about power. People are polite to you when they don't know, and respectful when they do. We headed toward the elevators. Mom walked beside me, quieter now. Tessa trailed just behind like she was afraid to step on a new reality too fast. Inside the elevator, the mirrors forced an awkward honesty. 3 women, same last name, same stubborn jaw. Mom finally said it. Why did you let us think you were struggling? I didn't bite. I didn't snap. I just told the truth in a calm voice. I didn't let you think anything. You made assumptions and you held on tight. Tessa turned to me. We've seen you in work clothes. Yes, exhausted. Yes, driving that car. Yes, I nodded once because I'm not allergic to work. The elevator dinged. Mom's suite was first, corner view of the lake, fireplace, a welcome basket with handwritten notes and fresh flowers. She walked to the window slowly. You really built this. I did. The words were small, the moment wasn't. Tessa's suite was next, same layout, different palette. She stood in the living room and turned in a slow circle. This is perfectly staged. I smiled faintly, because I learned from you. She looked at me like that one line hit harder than every number. You never said that. You never asked what your talent inspired. That quiet landed. Mr. Roth excused himself, leaving the 3 of us alone with the truth. Mom crossed her arms. So why keep inspecting warehouses personally? I answered without hesitation. Because luxury doesn't begin in the lobby, it begins behind the scenes, the linens, the kitchens, the cleaning protocols. If that part is sloppy, the chandeliers are just decoration. She nodded slowly like she was hearing a language she should have learned years ago. Then my intercom buzzed. Miss Hartman, your design review is in 15 minutes. I pressed the button. I'll be right down. Mom blinked. You have meetings. This isn't a vacation for me. Tessa frowned. After all this, you're just going to work. I gave her a small smile. I'm not a surprise party. I'm a whole company. I started toward the door. Mom stopped me. Maya, what do you want from us? I paused. Because this was the real question, not the sweets, not the cars. I want you to meet the version of me you never bothered to learn. I let that settle. And I want you to think about why you were so comfortable assuming I failed. That line wasn't a knife. It was a mirror. I left them there, not as punishment, as space. Because sometimes people need quiet to hear what they've been drowning out for years. Downstairs, my team was waiting. Evan slid a tablet toward me. Colorado is still the best next move. Nia nodded. We're ready to position the expansion. Darius added, but there's a complication. I leaned in. What kind? Evan tapped the screen. A competitor is attempting to block the land acquisition. I frowned. Who? He didn't answer with a company logo. He answered with a name that carried history. Dr. Nolan Mercer, the man my mother wanted me to marry. The man they said would have been the safe life. I exhaled slowly, because I knew what that meant. This weekend wasn't only going to reveal my success, it was about to test my boundaries in business and in family. The strap on my dress tore. Phones shot up like fireworks. Diane smiled, Sloane smirked, and Evan just stood there like a man watching a storm he refuses to name. Then Diane snapped her fingers at the security team. Remove her. 2 guards started toward me. I clutched my torn dress and looked right at Evan. Say something. He swallowed hard. He took a step and then he stepped back. That was the moment I stopped feeling embarrassed and started feeling dangerous, because I wasn't thinking about leaving anymore. I was thinking, what happens when these people find out who they just tried to destroy? Dinner that night was beautiful, too beautiful, the kind of elegance that makes emotions feel even louder. Private dining, soft light, a chef who treated every plate like a promise. My team relaxed into easy conversation. My mother and sister sat near the end of the table, still catching up to the last 5 years of my life in real time. Evan raised a glass. To the best CEO I've ever worked with, Nia smiled. She's demanding, fair, and somehow still the first one to jump in when a department is short. Darius shook his head. She basically lived on site our first year. Mom turned to me. You did, I nodded. Someone had to make sure the foundation was right. Tessa spoke quietly. I thought you were barely surviving. I didn't correct her again. That lesson was already in motion. Then Evans set his fork down. We should address Mercer before tomorrow. Tessa stiffened. Mercer as in Nolan Mercer? Yes, I said. Mom's face shifted. That old instinct. The one that wants a man's name to be the safety net. Evan opened his tablet. He partnered with a private equity group. Tessa frowned. What does a dentist have to do with resorts? I answered calmly. Money doesn't stay in one lane. Evan nodded. They're trying to buy the controlling parcel we want in Colorado. Mom's voice went thin. He's competing with you. Yes. Tessa leaned forward. Is this personal? I paused. Not for me, but I didn't say the rest. Because the truth was simple. Nolan didn't just want the land. He wanted the story. He wanted to be the man who could say the stubborn girl finally needed him. After dessert, most of my team drifted out, some to the bar, some to bed. The 3 of us remained. Mom finally spoke. I owe you an apology, a real one. She looked at me with a level honesty I didn't expect. I thought criticism was love. I listened. She continued. I wanted you to succeed my way or not at all, and I'm ashamed of that. Tessa exhaled. I went along with it because it made me feel bigger. I nodded. Thank you for saying it out loud. We were close to something human. Then my phone buzzed. Nia, we have a problem. I stepped out into the hall and called her. Her voice was tight. Mercer's PR team leaked a story. What kind of story? They found an old warehouse inspection photo of you. They're implying you fake a blue-collar image for sympathy. I closed my eyes for one beat, because of course he would pick that angle. My identity was my foundation. I returned to the table. Mom noticed my face. What happened? I didn't sugarcoat it. Someone is trying to turn my life into a headline joke. Tessa frowned. Who? I met her eyes. Nolan Mercer. Mom's shoulders dropped. Oh no, I nodded. Oh yeah, we headed to the lobby. Evan and Darius were waiting. Evan spoke quietly. We need to respond fast, Mom asked softly. Respond to what? I handed her my phone. She read the headline, her hand shook. Tessa read it too, and something in her face hardened. That's not just disrespect, that's strategy. I nodded. Evan added, there's more. He hesitated. Mercer filed for an injunction this morning against the Colorado site. I frowned. We're clean. We are, Evan said. But the judge assigned to the preliminary hearing, he paused, is Aunt Vivian's husband. The room went cold. Mom stiffened. Tessa whispered, you're kidding. I wish, because now it wasn't just business, it was family chess. The kind that smiles while it cuts. I looked at my mother. Your family is about to choose what they think I am. She looked stunned. Why would they do this? I answered quietly. Because success makes people pick sides. And I knew something else too. This weekend wasn't finished revealing truths, it was just getting sharper. Marion's words cut through the room. Lee is also Lee Carver-Ross. The air vanished. Like someone opened a window in the middle of winter and let all the oxygen escape. Evan went pale. Sloane looked like she'd just been hit by a truck made of consequences. And Diane tried to smile, the fake kind. The survival kind. She took one step toward me and said, Lee dear, I had no idea. I raised my hand. No. Then I leaned in and whispered just loud enough for the nearest phones to catch. You didn't need to know my name to treat me like a human. And that's when Diane did something I did not expect. She turned to the crowd and announced a lie about me and Evan that could ruin my reputation in one sentence. By Saturday afternoon, my founder's suite looked like a calm crisis room. Laptops, contracts, site maps, PR drafts. Evan was handling legal strategy. Nia was shaping the public response. Darius was coordinating with Colorado. My mother and sister sat nearby, not interfering, just witnessing. For the first time, they weren't judging the work. They were seeing the weight of it. Mom asked gently, do you want us to step out? I shook my head. No, I'm not hiding the hard parts anymore. That was the new rule. Nia ended a call and walked over. We can win the narrative, she said. But we need a clean answer, short, strong. Evan nodded, and we need to neutralize the conflict of interest risk. Then the elevator doors opened, and Aunt Vivian walked in like trouble wore perfume. She didn't ask permission. She never did. Elaine, she chirped at my mother, then her eyes settled on me. Maya, the sweetness was fake enough to taste. I heard you're having a little misunderstanding with Nolan. It's not a misunderstanding, I said. Vivian tilted her head. Some fights aren't worth winning. Translation, let the men run the end of the story. Tessa bristled. Mom went rigid. I smiled politely. Good thing this isn't a fight, it's a business decision. Vivian waved a hand. My husband will likely suggest a delay. Evan stepped forward. With respect, ma'am, any delay would cause measurable harm. Vivian's smile tightened. Court isn't about feelings. I nodded slowly. Neither is shareholder value. She paused, then dropped the real bomb. Nolan will join us tonight. Tessa stood. Absolutely not. Vivian glanced at my mother. Elaine already agreed. Mom looked startled. I didn't. Vivian raised a brow, and my mother went quiet. That old family power dynamic showing itself in broad daylight. I understood the game instantly. This wasn't about Nolan alone. It was about my mother's side of the family trying to bring me back under their story. I took a breath. Fine, I said. He can talk. At 7 o'clock, Nolan Mercer walked into private dining wearing confidence like armor. He smiled. Maya's Nolan, he greeted my mother first. Mrs. Hartman, you look wonderful. Tessa didn't bother pretending. Skip the charm. He ignored her, then turned to me. We don't have to do this the hard way. I leaned back. Define hard. He offered a folder, a generous buyout, a clean exit, and a quiet way for him to claim victory. You walk away richer, he said. I walk away with the project. And the headline, I added. He smiled. You're still sharp, then you already know my answer, he sighed. You always had a thing about proving yourself. I shook my head. No, I paused. I have a thing about not being owned. His smile thinned. The judge will grant the delay. I glanced at Vivian. She didn't deny it. Mom looked sick. Tessa looked furious. Nolan leaned in. This doesn't have to get ugly. I stood. You're late, he blinked. Late for what? For realizing I planned for this. I nodded to Evan. Evan tapped his tablet. Our legal team filed a motion requesting recusal due to conflict of interest risk. Nolan's eyes narrowed. Evan continued. And we submitted documentation to state oversight. Vivian went pale. My mother inhaled sharply. Nolan took a half step back. You do that to your own family? I met his gaze. I'm not doing this to them. I said it slowly. I'm refusing to let them do it to me. His confidence cracked just a little, then he tried to recover. This will go public. I nodded. Good. Then I added the last turn of the screw. Because tomorrow I'm announcing our expansion partnership. With who? I smiled. Your biggest competitor in hospitality financing. His face shifted. He didn't like losing in front of an audience. And for once, I wasn't going to shrink to protect someone else's ego. I called my lawyer on speaker. The room froze. Diane's face collapsed. Sloane started crying like the consequences were personally offensive. Evan whispered, "Lee, please." I looked him dead in the eye. "You don't get to manage my pain after you rented out your spine." Then Marion's assistant rushed over and whispered something urgent in her ear. Marion's expression changed. She turned to Diane slowly and said, "Your family's pledge is being suspended, effective immediately." Diane's knees almost buckled, and before I could even breathe, my phone buzzed. One message from my father, just 4 words. "Do you want war?" Sunday morning came with clean light and 1,000 quiet decisions. Nia was prepping the press setup. Evan was finalizing legal language. Darius was coordinating the Colorado team. My mother found me by the lake. No sunglasses, no armor, just a woman trying to be brave in a new way. "I need to say something," she said. I nodded. She inhaled. "When you were young, I thought I was protecting you by controlling me." She didn't argue, she owned it. "I wanted you to need my blueprint." I watched her face. "And when you didn't," she swallowed. "I tried to make your path look small." That honesty mattered, because apologies only work when they're specific. Tessa joined us. "I was mean," she said quickly. "I liked being the successful sister because it made me feel safe." I nodded. "Thank you." Mom looked at me. "What happens now?" I answered honestly. "We rebuild slowly." "And what do we do first?" I gave them something simple but real. "You ask questions before you write conclusions." Mom nodded. Tessa nodded too. At noon, the press gathering began. Industry writers, local business media, one national outlet on video. Nia introduced me. I kept my statement short. Luxury isn't just what you see. It's what you can trust. I paused. Our expansion will protect both. A reporter asked about the rumor, the warehouse photo, the implication that I was performing an image. I didn't get defensive. I got clear. "I don't perform anything." I looked at the camera. "I inspect operations because I respect labor." Then the reporter asked the question I didn't expect. "Is your family supportive of your leadership?" The room went quiet. My mother stiffened. Tessa looked nervous. I didn't rescue them. I let them choose. Mom stood, walked beside me, and said into the mic, "My daughter is one of the most capable women I've ever known." Her voice shook, but she kept going. "I misunderstood her. I underestimated her. And that was my failure, not hers." That wasn't a perfect moment. It was a real one. Tessa added quietly, "I'm proud of her." Then she cleared her throat. "I used to compete with her story instead of cheering for it." That was growth, not dramatic, just honest. After the press left, Evan walked in with an update. "The oversight board acknowledged our motion. The recusal process is in motion. Mercer's injunction attempt is essentially done." Tessa exhaled like her lungs had been holding stress for me. Mom sat down. "You fought everyone for this." I shrugged. "I fought for the truth to have a fair room." Later that night, we sat on my terrace with tea. It was quiet, the good kind. Mom looked at me and said softly, "I need to learn how to love you without trying to manage you." I nodded. "You can." Tessa nudged me. "So you're still driving that Corolla?" I smirked. "Yep," she laughed. "I'm not going to lie, that is the most you thing ever." I leaned back. "This isn't about looking rich." I let the lake fill the space between my words. "It's about building something that lasts." Mom watched the water. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was trying to prove I belonged in my own life. I already belonged. The next morning, as they checked out, my mother hugged me tight. A real hug, not a performance. Tessa hugged me right after. "I'm not messing this up again." I nodded. Good, because I wasn't shrinking again. They left. I stayed. Work to do. A company to protect. A future to build. And as I stood in the lobby watching the lake catch the morning light, I thought something simple. Reveals are easy. Repair is the harder part. But this time, we were finally doing the harder part. I didn't destroy them. I didn't need to. They did that part all by themselves. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. 2 months later, I got an invitation to a private board meeting. Same foundation, same power circle, and on the guest list, Evan's name, not as a guest, not as a +1. As a newly proposed executive lead. I stared at the email like it was a glitch in the universe, because if Evan was climbing back up, that could only mean one thing: someone powerful was helping him. And I was about to find out exactly who. If this story hit home for you, drop a like and subscribe for more stories about family, second chances, and quiet success.